Hello students, welcome to Global Online. In today's session, we will cover 25 plus important MCQs from the General Knowledge and Current Affairs sections from CLAT 2025 exam. We will go through each passage and question step by step, understand the logic behind the correct answer and strengthen your accuracy for real exam. If you want a structured preparation, our live CLAT batch is now open, and for complete study material, don't forget our Law CET and CLAT book, which is available on Amazon, your all-in-one guide for law entrance exam. So let's begin. Let's read this passage. On the recommendation of Parliament, the President of India effectively abrogated Article 370 of the Indian Constitution and gave assent to the Jammu and Kashmir Reorganization Act 2019. The former state of Jammu and Kashmir has been recognized as a new union territories of Jammu and Kashmir and the new union territory of Ladakh on 31st of October 2019. The new union territory of Ladakh consists of two districts of Kargil and Leh. The rest of the former state of Jammu and Kashmir is in the new union territory of Jammu and Kashmir. By 2019, the state government of former Jammu and Kashmir had reorganized the area of these 14 districts into 28 districts. The name of the new district are as follows: Kupwara, Bandipur, Ganderbal, Srinagar, Budgam, Pulwama, Shupian, Kulgam, Rajouri, Ramban, Doda, Kishtwar, Samba and Kargil. Out of these, Kargil district was carved out from the area of Leh and Ladakh district. The Leh district of the new union territory of Ladakh has been defined in the Jammu and Kashmir Reorganization, Removal of Difficulties, Second Order 2019 issued by the President of India to include the areas of the district of Gilgit, Wazarat, Chilhas and tribal territories of 1947, in addition to the remaining areas of Leh and Ladakh district of 1947 after carving out the Kargil district. So guys, let's see the questions. Question 1 is which of the following statements regarding Article 370 of the Constitution of India is correct? The options are given. It gave the special status to erstwhile state of Jammu and Kashmir. Option B is it created a special tribunal for the state of Jammu and Kashmir on certain occasions. It introduced goods and service tax in Jammu and Kashmir. It confers special jurisdiction on the Supreme Court on matters coming from Jammu and Kashmir. So in passage, it is already given that Article 370 gave a special status to the erstwhile state of Jammu and Kashmir. So option A will be the correct answer here because it mentions about the special status. Option B says it created a special tribunal, but such thing is not mentioned in the passage. Good service and tax, which is a GST, and that is irrelevant to the Article 370, which is not in a passage. Supreme Court's jurisdiction, that is also not discussed regarding Article 370. So the option A will be the correct here. It gave a special status to the erstwhile state of Jammu and Kashmir is correct as per the passage and general knowledge. Let's move to the next question. The Jammu and Kashmir Reorganization Act 2019 divided the erstwhile state of Jammu and Kashmir into which of the following? Options are given: two states. Option B is one state and one union territory. Option C is two union territories. And option D is one state and two union territories. So as we seen in the passage, it reorganized as the new union territories of Jammu and Kashmir and the new union territory of Ladakh. So the two states, option A will be incorrect. Option B says one state and one UT, that is also incorrect. Option C says two union territories, which matches exactly with the passage. And option D says one state and two union territories, which is also not matching with the passage. So the correct answer will be option C, two union territories. Let's move to the next question. Which of the following union territories of India has a legislative assembly? Options are given: Andaman and Nicobar Island, Jammu and Kashmir, Daman and Diu, and option D is Lakshadweep. So guys, as per passage, Jammu and Kashmir become a UT with an assembly. Ladakh does not have any assembly. So option A, Andaman and Nicobar Island, it has no assembly. Option B, Jammu and Kashmir, it has assembly. Option C, Daman and Diu, there is no assembly. Option D, Lakshadweep, there is also no any kind of assembly. So the correct answer will be option B, Jammu and Kashmir. Let's move to the next question. How many states and union territories are present in India? As of 2019 to 2025, India has 28 states and 8 union territories. So the correct answer will be option A, 28 states and 8 union territories as per the current data. Let's see the next question. Which among the following is the capital city of the union territories of Ladakh? Options are given: Leh, Changtang, Dras, and Nubra. So the Leh district of a new union territories of Ladakh, and Leh repeatedly mentioned in the context of Ladakh. So Leh matches with the passage Chatgang, not a capital. Dras is also not a capital. Nubra is also not a capital. So the Leh, option A, will be the correct answer here. Move to the next question. Which of the following is a false? Kargil was formerly a union territory. Ladakh is administered by Jammu and Kashmir Assembly. 15 new districts were formed to be a part of Jammu and Kashmir in 2019, and option D, all of the above. In order to eliminate wrong options here, the option A is false, option B is also false, option C is also false. So the correct answer will be option D, all of the above, because all the statements which are given from A to C are false. So the option D will be the correct answer here. There is a passage, the Nari Shakti Vandan Adhiniyam 2023 Act received near unanimous support in both the Lok Sabha and Rajya Sabha. The legislation mandates the reservation of 1/3 of all seats in Lok Sabha, state legislative assemblies, and Delhi as a union territory with the elected assembly for women. This linking of the implementation of the Act to the implementing of two long-term exercises of census and delimitation makes a little sense to many and sounds quite like empowerment delayed for now. In a 2012 article holding up half the sky, reservation for women in India, Rudolph C. Heredia breaks down the common misconceptions that cloud our understanding of women political participation. When women do attain a national leadership role, it is often because they have inherited the mantle from their fathers or husbands, rather than as a person in their own right, and are then projected as matriarchs, part of the joint family, complementary to the patriarchy rather than a challenge to it. In Equality versus Empowerment, Women in India Legislature 2023, Soumya Bhaumik makes the case for going a step beyond quotas and to turn our attention to the complexities that shape women's agency in the country. This, he argues, would require a bottoms up approach rather than merely handling out reservation in a top down manner. In a country like India, with a considerably large heterogeneous population, the dissemination of legislative power would be insufficient to protect the interest of a minority groups such as women, scheduled caste, and scheduled tribes. He concludes that implementing the idea of a reservation for women would bring about descriptive representation, but its transformation into substantive representation would depend on the change in the attitudes of the people. While the reservation of 1/3 of seats for women belonging to the scheduled castes and tribes under the amendment to the Article 330A and 332 of the Constitution is welcome step, it remains to be seen whether it fully acknowledges the complex interplay of hierarchies, socio-political relationship, which also affect the extent and nature of complication that surrounds effective realization of women's politics for Indian politics to emerge as a truly emancipatory space. So let's see the short summary of this passage. This passage discusses the Nari Shakti Vandan Adhiniyam Act 2023, which mandates reserving 1/3 of seats in the Lok Sabha, state legislative assemblies, and Delhi Assembly for women. However, its implementation is tied to census and delimitation exercises, causing delays which some see as a postponed empowerment. Rudolph C. Heredia critic women's political leadership as often inherited from male relatives rather than earning individually, perpetuating patriarchy. Soumya Bhaumik advocates moving beyond quotas, suggesting a bottoms up approach is needed to address complexities in women's agency and minority representation, he stresses that reservation brings descriptive but not necessarily substantive representation without social attitude changes. The amendment to Article 330A and 332, which reserves seat for women from scheduled castes and tribes, is positive but may overlook hierarchies and socio-political dynamics that influences Indian women's political empowerment. So there are some questions which were asked. First one is the Nari Shakti Vandan Adhiniyam 2023. Options are given. Will come to force from January 2025. Will come to force after all the state and UTs approve it. Will come to force after census. And option D, none of the above. So students, we should look for the keywords in this question. The keywords are come to force, Nari Shakti Vandan Adhiniyam 2023 and census. So the relevant portion of this passage is the Act's implementation is linked to census and delimitation exercises. So we can eliminate option A, which is January 2025, because no date is mentioned in the passage. Option B is also can be eliminated because states and UTs approval, which is not cited in this passage. Option C is will come to force after census. This is the correct answer. That's why option D can be eliminated, which is none of the above. So the correct answer for this question will be option C, will come to force after census. Let's move to the next question. As per Rudolf Heredia, women's political leadership depends upon, options are given, mentorship of spouses' political affiliations, option B, parental guidance, option C, property inheritance, and option D, none of the above. So students, keywords in this question are Rudolf Heredia, women's leadership, and inherit mantle. So relevant portion of the passage for this question is leadership often inherited from fathers or husband. So we can eliminate option A, which is a mentorship, that is not mentioned in the passage. Next is option B, parental guidance, that is related but it is too general. Option C, property inheritance, it is not related to the question. Hence option D, none of the above, because the passage says inherited mantle from fathers or husband, not a mentorship, guidance, or a property. So option D, none of the above, will be the correct answer here. So let's move to the next question. According to Soumya Bhaumik, the quotas for women should, options are given, require a top-down model, fulfill a descriptive representation, option C, transform to substantive representation, and option D, to be implemented homogeneously. So guys, the keywords from these questions are Soumya Bhaumik, then quotas, representation, descriptive, and substantive. So let's see the relevant portion of the passage. The passage says he advocates transforming descriptive to substantive representation and using a bottom-up approach. So we can eliminate option A, which is require a top-down model. He opposes this. Option B is fulfill descriptive representation. In this case, quota alone does this. Option D is homogeneous implementation, that is not emphasized in passage. But option C, transform to substantive representation, it is mentioned in the passage. So the correct answer will be option C, transform to substantive representation. Let's see the next question. The amendment to the Article 330A and 332 aims to, options are given, appoint Rajya Sabha members based on cultural diversity. Option B, quotas for women governors. Option C, women sports persons. And option D, none of the above. So guys, the keyword from this question are Article 330A, then 332, reservation, women, scheduled castes, and tribes. So the relevant portion of the passage for this question is reserving 1/3 seats for women from scheduled caste and tribes. So we can eliminate option A, which says Rajya Sabha members based on cultural diversity. It is not mentioned in the passage. Quota for women governors, that is also not mentioned in the passage. Women sports person, which is irrelevant, and that's why option D, none of the above, will be the best and correct answer for this question. So we have passage here. In keeping with the slogan for the year's Olympic Games wide open, the opening ceremony took place outside a stadium setting by the river for the first time. In many respects, the Paris Games turned out to be one of the most elaborate cultural rituals since COVID swept across the world beginning in late 2019. Health restrictions forced the organizers of Tokyo 2020 and Beijing 2022 to sharply limit the scale of the festivities, with events largely closed to the public. Paris 2024, powered in part by pent up demand for communal experiences, symbolized an international post pandemic vibe shift. The International Olympic Committee and French officials manage strict security measures in place, yet the recent history of a violence in France, including the 2015 terror attack in Paris that left 138 people dead and at least 416 injured, stalked public consciousness prior to the Games. The geopolitical backdrop for the Paris Games was no less troubling. The war between Israel and Hamas, which had crossed the 6-month mark, raised a fear of protracted conflict and wider regional instability. The devastation in a Gaza Strip has provoked international outrage, isolating Israel on the global stage. Meanwhile, Russia continues to gain ground in its military offensive against Ukraine as some Western nations worry about the rise of authoritarianism. These international crises raised serious concerns that could come into play during the game in the form of protest and other political demonstrations. Nevertheless, Olympic organizers put up a show that stunned the throngs assembled on the boulevards of Paris, not to mention the million of people who watched the game unfold on their televisions and mobile devices. At the Paris 2024 Olympics, India secured a total of 6 medals, 1 silver, 5 bronze, which was one down from the highest haul of medals from the previous Olympics. Neeraj Chopra earned a silver in men's javelin with an 89.45 throw, narrowly missing gold to Pakistan Arshad Nadeem. Shooter Manu Bhaker made history by clinching bronze in the women's 10-meter air pistol, becoming the first Indian woman to win a medal in Olympic shooting. The men's hockey team achieved a second consecutive bronze, defeating Spain 2-1, with captain Harmanpreet Singh scoring both goals. So we can summarize this passage as this passage describes the unique context and events of a Paris 2024 Olympics. It highlights the open air opening ceremony and the event's significance as a major post-pandemic global gathering. It then addresses the security and geopolitical concerns overshadowing the games, including history of a terror in France, the Israel-Hamas war, and the Russia-Ukraine conflict. Finally, it shifts focus to India's performance, detailing specific medal wins, including a historic bronze by shooter Manu Bhaker and second consecutive bronze for the men's hockey team. While nothing that the overall medal tally was slightly lower than the previous games. So let's discuss questions. First one is India won a back-to-back Olympics hockey medal at, options are given, Beijing and Paris, Rio and Beijing, Beijing and Tokyo, none of the above. The question is asking for the 2 consecutive Olympic Games where the Indian men's hockey team won a medal. Back-to-back means one immediately after the other. So let's see for the evidence. The evidence is in the final paragraph of this passage. The men's hockey team achieved a second consecutive bronze. The previous sentence mentions that India's Paris 2024 medal haul was one down from the highest haul of medals from the previous Olympic. Therefore, the second consecutive medal referred to current Paris Olympic and the one immediately before it. So let's see which options are given here. Option A is Beijing and Paris. It will be wrong because the passage states the previous Olympic had the highest haul. The text earlier mentions Tokyo 2020 and Beijing 2022 Winter Games, but the context of a hockey is the Summer Games. So the previous Summer Olympic to Paris 2024 was Tokyo 2020. Option B, Rio and Beijing. It is also wrong. These are not consecutive games. In the context of the passage, Rio was in 2016, Beijing was in 2008. So let's see next option, option C, Beijing and Tokyo. It is also wrong because these are consecutive summer games 2008 and 2020-21. The passage does not state that India won a hockey medal in a Beijing. So the second consecutive is specifically between the last game and the current one in the Paris. Hence, option D, none of the above, will be the correct answer here since the second consecutive refer to Tokyo and Paris, and this option is not listed in A, B, or option C. So this is the correct choice, which is option D. So let's move to the next question. According to the passage, what is the peculiarity of the Paris Olympic 2024? Options are given. Option A, it symbolized an international post-pandemic vibe shift. The opening ceremony took place outside the stadium. It is one of the most elaborate culture rituals since COVID. And option D, all of the above. So students, this question asks for the unique or distinctive feature of the Paris Olympic as described in the passage. Peculiarity here means a characteristic feature. So the first paragraph lists several unique aspects. The opening ceremony took place outside a stadium setting by the river for the first time. Second one is it was one of the most elaborate cultural rituals since COVID. And third one is it symbolized an international post-pandemic vibe shift. So on the basis of this passage, we can look for the correct option. Option A, it symbolized an international post-pandemic vibe shift. This is a true, but it is not the only peculiarity. Option B says the opening ceremony took place outside a stadium. This is also true and explicitly stated as the first. Option C, it is one of the most elaborate cultural rituals since COVID. This is also true statement from the passage. Hence, option D, all of the above will be the correct since option A, B, C are all directly supported by the text as being peculiar to the Paris Olympic. So this will be the correct answer here. So let's move to the next question. Which of the following incident supports the argument that the geopolitical backdrop of the Paris Games is no less troubling? So you need to identify which of the given option are mentioned in the passage as example of troubling geopolitical situation. So we can find the evidence from the second paragraph of this passage. The second paragraph is dedicated to this, explicitly mentions the war between Israel and Hamas, and Russia continues to gain ground in its military offensive against Ukraine. So on the basis of this, option A says Israel-Hamas conflict. It is correct. This is directly stated in the passage. Option B, the immigrant influx into the Europe. It is wrong. The passage does not mention immigrations at all. This is an outside assumption. Option C itself says political stability of a French government. It is also wrong because the passage discusses the history of violence in France, not the stability of the government. This is not linked to the geopolitical backdrop. And option D says all of the above. It is wrong since B and C are not supported by the text. So this option will be incorrect. Hence, option A will be the most correct here, which is Israel-Hamas conflict. Let's move to the next question. Which one of the following is a true? Tokyo Olympic war better than Beijing Olympic? Spectators thronged for the post-COVID sporting experience. Olympic Games are unaffected by the conflict in a region. And option D, all of the above. So this is a classical factual accuracy question which must find statement that is supported by the passage. So in this case, we need to check each option against the text. Option A, Tokyo Olympics was better than the Beijing Olympics. This one is wrong. The passage states that both Tokyo and Beijing had sharply limited festivities due to health restrictions. It does not make a qualitative comparison between the two. Option B, Spectators thronged for a post-COVID sporting experience. This one is correct. The passage itself states Paris 2024 powered in parts by pent-up demand for communal experiences. So this symbolizes an international post-pandemic vibe shift and mentions throngs assembled on the boulevards of Paris. This directly supports the idea that people gathered in the large number for the post-pandemic experiences. So option C, Olympic Games are unaffected by the conflict in the region. This is also wrong because the passage explicitly states that opposite, saying international crisis raised a serious concerns that could come into play during the games. And option D, all of the above is wrong since only B is correct in this and this one is incorrect. Hence, spectator thronged for the post-COVID sporting experience is the correct answer here. The highest Olympic medal tally for India was at option A, Beijing, option B, Rio, option C, London, option D, Tokyo. So the question asks for the Olympic Games where India had its best ever medal count. So final paragraph of this passage states that at the Paris 2024 Olympics, India secured a total of 6 medals, which was one down from the highest haul of medals from the previous Olympic. So option A, Beijing, which is wrong. The previous Olympics to Paris 2024 was Tokyo 2020-21. Option B, Rio. It is also wrong. The passage does not mention Rio. The comparison is explicitly between Paris and the previous games. Option C, London, which is also wrong because it is not mentioned in the passage. Option D is Tokyo. This one is correct because the previous Olympic is identified as the one with the highest haul since the Paris 2024 is the current one. The previous one was Tokyo. Hence, option D will be the correct answer here. Let's move to the next question. Where is the opening ceremony of the Paris Olympics 2024 held? Option given: Seine River, Versailles Palace, Eiffel Tower, Arc de Triomphe. So this is a direct fact-based question about the ceremony's location. The first sentence of the passage says the ceremony took place outside the stadium setting by the river. So Seine River will be the correct answer here. The ceremony was by the river. While the passage doesn't name the Seine, it is the primary river in Paris. And this one is the context-based inference that CLAT often expects. So the other options are famous Parisian landmarks but are not mentioned in the passage. Hence, option A, Seine River, will be the correct answer here. They gave a financial assistance and refused to buy or sell imported goods after the failure of the Round Table Conference. Business groups were no longer uniformly enthusiastic. They were apprehensive of the spread of militant activities and worried about prolonged disruption of a business, as well as of the growing influence of a socialism among the young member of the Congress. The industrial working class did not participate in civil disobedience movement in a large numbers except in the Nagpur region as the industrialists come closer to the Congress workers stayed aloof. But in spite of that, some workers did participate in the civil disobedient movement, selectively adopting some of the ideas of a Gandhian program, like boycott of a foreign good as part of their own movement against low wages and poor working conditions. There were strikes by railway workers in 1930 and dock workers in 1932. In 1930, thousands of workers in Chota Nagpur tin mines wore Gandhi caps and participated in protest rallies and boycott campaigns. But the Congress was reluctant to include workers' demands as part of its program of a struggle. It felt that this would alienate industrialists and divide the anti-imperial forces. Another important feature of the civil disobedient movement was the large-scale participation of women during Gandhiji's Salt March. Thousands of women came out of their homes to listen to him. They participated in protest marches, manufactured salt, and picketed foreign cloth and liquor shops. Many went to jail. So let's see a short summary of this passage. The passage discusses the role of Indian merchants, industrialists, workers, and women during the civil disobedient movement in India's struggle for independence. During World War I, Indian industrialists sought a protection from foreign imports and formed trade organizations to protect their interests. They supported the CDM initially by financially assisting and boycotting foreign goods. Their enthusiasm waned after the failure of the Round Table Conference due to fears of a business disruption and the spread of socialism within the Congress. Industrial workers largely stayed away from the CDM except in some areas like Nagpur, though some selectively adopted Gandhian ideas in a strike and protest. The Congress avoided fully integrating workers' demands to maintain unity with industrialists. Women played a significant role participating in marches, salt manufacturing, and picketing, often facing imprisonment. Their large scale involvement marked a shift in the nationalist movement's inclusiveness. So let's see some questions. Question is, which event in Indian history marked the beginning of civil disobedience movement? Options are given: launch of non-cooperation movement. Option B, commencing of a Dandi March. Option C, signing of Gandhi-Irvin Pact. And option D, withdrawal of non-cooperation movement. So this passage states the movement was supported after the failure of a round table conference and mentions Dandi March 1930 as a key event historically launching civil disobedience movement. So we can eliminate some options here. Option A, launch of a non-cooperation movement. It is a separate and earlier movement, hence it can be eliminated. Option C can be eliminated, which is Gandhi signing of Gandhi-Irvin Pact, because it is a later agreement. Option D is also can be eliminated, withdrawal of non-cooperation movement. It is ended an earlier movement. So option B, Dandi March, will be the correct answer here because it is widely accepted start of a civil disobedient movement. Hence option B will be the correct answer here. Let's move to the next question. Which of the following is true in context of a civil disobedience movement? Options are given. Option A, the Indian industrialists preferred a partnership with MNCs. The Indian industrialists were concerned of disruption of a business. Option C is given. The working class rejected the civil disobedience movement. And option D is given. The Round Table Conference was a partial success. So the relevant portion of this passage will be: industrialists concerned about business disruption, workers did not fully participate. So we can eliminate some options from this question, such as option A, preferred partnership with MNCs. It is not mentioned in this passage. Option C can be eliminated. The working class rejected the civil disobedience movement because some participation was happened, so it is inaccurate. Option D is also can be eliminated. The Round Table Conference was a partial success because its failure was noted. Hence, option B will be the correct answer here, which is the Indian industrialists were concerned of disruption of business because it is explicitly stated in this passage. Hence, option B will be the correct answer here. Let's move to the next question. Which of the following was the predicament of a Congress? Options are given. Option A is danger of division of opposition to the British government. Option B is given, loss of a faith by marginalized sections in a Congress. Option C, failing value of a rupee against sterling. And option D, none of the above. Student, passage states Congress feared alienating industrialists and dividing anti-imperial forces. Hence, we can eliminate some options from this question. Option B can be eliminated, which is loss of a faith by marginalized section in a Congress. It is not mentioned in the passage. Option C, failing value of a rupee against sterling. This is also not mentioned here. Option D can be eliminated because option A will be the correct answer here. it says danger of a division of opposition to the British government. It matches to the passage. Hence, option A will be the correct answer here. Let's see next question. Which of the following statement is correct with reference to civil disobedience movement? Options are given. It encouraged militancy among workers. Option B, breaking of the salt law, manufacturing salt and demonstrating it in front of government salt factories. Option C, it urged the industrialists to accept socialism. Option D, all of the above. So passage mentioned manufacture of a salt, boycott of a foreign goods, but no encouragement of militancy or industrialist urge to accept socialism. So we can eliminate option A here. It says it encouraged militancy among workers. It is not supported by the passage. Option C can be eliminated. It urged the industrialists to accept socialism because passage says industrialists worried about socialism spread. Option D is also can be eliminated because option B says breaking of the salt law, manufacturing salt and demonstrating it in front of government salt factories. This one is fully accurate. Hence option B will be the correct answer here. Let's move to the next question. Which among the following mass movement was supported by the Indian industrialist? Options are given. Home Rule movement, civil disobedience movement, non-cooperative movement and Quit India movement. This passage states industrialists supported civil disobedient movement. Hence option B will be the correct answer here. Option A, Home Rule movement, that was prior and not mentioned. Option C, non-cooperation movement, it is not specified, and Quit India movement that occur later of civil disobedience movement. Hence option B will be the correct answer here. Which of the following can be considered as a major outcome of a civil disobedience movement? Options are given. A partial support of working class. Option B, galvanizing women in political sphere. Option C, socialistic influence among the Congress cadre. And option D, all of the above. Relevant portion of this passage will be large women's participation mentioned, partial working class support and socialism concerns present. So the partial support of a working class, it is a true. Galvanizing women politically, it is also true. Socialist influence, this one also be true here. Hence all of the above, option D will be the correct answer here because option A, B and C all are correct options. Hence option. There is one passage given. You can pause the video and read the passage. So I'll be giving you a summary of this passage. The 16th BRICS summit held in Russia highlighted efforts to improve ties between India and China after years of border tensions. Prime Minister Narendra Modi and Chinese President Xi Jinping met formally for the first time in 5 years. Following a border resolution agreement, Russia used this platform to show that West had failed to isolate it over the Ukraine conflict. The summit also discussed an alternative payment system to reduce dependence on a US dollar. Though no specific details or timelines were shared, BRICS comprising Brazil, Russia, India, China and South Africa today represents 45% of world's population and 35% of a global GDP. The 43 pages covered topics such as geopolitics, artificial intelligence, narcotic and big cat conservation. India's leadership in launching the International Big Cat Alliance was given special mention. However, the summit avoided deeper discussion on global crisis and mentioned Ukraine only once. In short, the BRICS summit reflected diplomatic engagement between India and China, support for local currency trade, and efforts to reduce reliance on Western institutions without any major breakthrough on pressing a global issue. Let's see the MCQs which were asked on this passage. First question is, the 16th BRICS achieved the following. Options are given. Launch of BRICS currency, de-escalation of Russia-Ukraine conflict, diplomatic dialogue between India and China, and option D, all of the above. So we have to look for the keyword in this question. So question asks about the achievement of 16th BRICS summit. So in passage, it is clearly given that the meeting between Xi and Modi who have not held formal talks for 5 years was one highlight of a summit. BRICS also gave an opportunity to Russian President Vladimir Putin for showcasing that the West had failed to isolate Russia over Ukraine war. A final communique listed a number of projects aimed at facilitating trade between BRICS nations, including an alternative payment system to the dollar, but did not include details or timelines. So the key outcome of a BRICS is the summit marked the first formal talks in 5 years between Modi and Xi after the border resolution. No BRICS currency was launched and no Russia-Ukraine resolution was announced. So the correct answer for this question will be option C, diplomatic dialogue between India and China. Let's move to the next question. What does the letter S in a BRICS stands for? Options are given: Saudi Arabia, Singapore, South America, and South Africa. So guys, the long form of a BRICS is B stands for Brazil, R stands for Russia, I stands for India, C for China, and S for South Africa. So the correct answer will be option D, South Africa. Let's move to the next question. The initiative of a Big Cats Alliance referred to. Options are given: lion, tigers, and jaguar, lions, cheetah, and snow leopard, tigers, jaguar, and leopard. Option D, all of the above. As per the passage, preservation of big cats but lacked detail in some major issues. So it was discussed in a passage. So the International Big Cat Alliance, which was launched by India, covers 7 species. That is tiger, lion, snow leopard, leopard, jaguar, puma, and cheetah. None of the given options list all the 7. Since the choice must be made, the least incorrect is option D, all of the above. The most correct answer will be option D, all of the above. Let's move to the next question. Which statement reflects as a critic from the Western economists? BRICS currency cannot displace dollars. Asian economics will not impact Western economy. Indo-China conflict will impact progress of BRICS. And option D, all of the above. As Jim O'Neill, he criticized BRICS effectiveness, pointing to Indo-China conflict as a major obstacle. So the correct answer will be option C, Indo-China conflict will impact progress of a BRICS. Let's move to the next question. The emergence of a BRICS signals: option A, Asian consolidation of economic power, diminishing European dominance, a revival of non-aligned movement, a geopolitics without US dominance. The BRICS allows emerging economies to assert themselves outside US-led governance. So the option D, geopolitics without US dominance, will be the correct answer here. Let's move to the next question. Which of the following below is an outcome of a 16 BRICS meeting? So the summit reduced tension between India and China by facilitating dialogue. Options are given: proposal of end Russia-Ukraine war to expand BRICS by including Scandinavian countries to recognize China's claim of a Taiwan, and reducing tension between India and China. So the correct answer will be option D, reducing tension between India and China. So guys, that's all for today's discussion on 25 plus high value GK and current affair MCQ for CLAT 2026. I hope the detailed explanation helped you understand how to approach passage based and factual questions with confidence. For full-fledged preparation, join our live CLAT batch, which include daily live classes, complete notes, mock test, and doubt clearing and exam guidance. And make sure you get our Law CET and CLAT book by Global Online Publication. Book features are complete syllabus coverage, chapter-wise explanation, topic-wise practice questions, previous year papers, and model test, smart tips and tricks for quick revision, a complete one-stop study guide. The purchase link is in the description. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to stay updated. See you in the next session. Thank you.